Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the RC Adventure Channel. This is day one of the cross-country road trip. I'm at the Black Spruce Campground on Fort Richardson, which is in the Anchorage area of Alaska, and I am driving all the way down to Eglin Air Force Base in Florida. This is probably going to take about 3 or 4 weeks, so the next few videos are going to be a little more adventure and a little less RC, but I'm going to do the best I can. Altogether, this road trip is going to be about 5,500 miles, so I better get going. Since 2002, my wife and I haven't spent more than around 4 years in any one spot. At this point, we've actually been in Alaska about 3.5 years, so we're pretty well versed in packing up and moving again. This is the first time, though, that we've left somewhere that we did not want to leave. We had a lot of great experiences here, and yeah, the winters are long and cold, so one of the first things that I did actually was to build a set of transmitter gloves so that we could all keep our hands warm while running our ground-based RCs around in the cold. We experienced our first Alaskan traffic jam in downtown Anchorage, 3rd and C Street. Also found out that the snow makes your Christmas decorations look really cool. The long winter nights also kind of necessitate that everything gets lights added to it, even things that don't get flown at night, but whatever, it looks cool. Also, huge shout out to the Fallen Outdoors. Because of you guys, I got to go on a lot of great outdoor adventures, including this one here where Brian caught that landlocked salmon all by himself. I mean, look at that smile. That was a happy little camper there. After catching a bunch of salmon, we loaded them up on top of our RCs and had to, of course, drive them out. You know, you catch fish, you gotta bring it with you. I made a whole video on this. It was ice fishing with Santa Claus. A lot of fun there. Nathan caught his first trout during an ice fishing tournament put on by the JBER Outdoor Rec office. Actually won the tournament too, which was kind of funny, I thought, considering I didn't catch any fish that particular trip. But oh well, you know, he had fun. That's what's most important. The long winters also make for plenty of time for doing some rather large projects. In this case, this is the Twin Sea Sport that I scratch built. I did a whole series on it, showed how to scratch build those landing gear you just saw, how to make fiberglass parts, do some of the painting, and then finally the first flight, which didn't exactly go according to plan. It'll fly again, though. Just give me some time. I'll get her up and going. During the winter, we also did a lot of indoor 10th scale touring car racing at the Egan Center, downtown Anchorage. This particular event was actually geared towards introducing veterans to RC cars. Had a lot of fun running around the track and, crashing. My family and I loved it so much in Alaska that we decided to buy some land to put our forever home on. Turns out that we have some really awesome neighbors that put together several fly-ins every year. This, of course, their winter fly-in. There's big potluck lunch kind of thing going on there. More food than we know what to do with. There's a candy drop for the kids. The kids weren't even supposed to go running out at this point. They were supposed to stay back, but they just saw candy and went running for it. If you want to know how it is I was flying a model airplane around full-scale airplanes without causing problems, just check out the video I made on it. Come spring breakup, this is pretty much what your streets look like. Water deep enough to float a boat around in. Things also get pretty muddy, so putting a winch on your RC definitely helps in getting out of those sticky situations. I did a video on how to build a winch for an SCX-24 too, so you can check that out if that's something that interests you. Spring is also the time of year when you get to meet some new neighbors. They're not quite as cute and cuddly as they might look. Brian says he's not afraid of them, though. Personally, I think he's going to need something a little bigger than that BB gun if he wants to take on one of those black bears with me. This would also be the time of year when we finally get to drag the motorcycle out of the garage and go on some rides. Camping also gets started. This was Moose Pass, one of our first trips of the year. Took all the 24 scale crawlers up to the lake there. Had a lot of fun running those around. And we did a trip to the Arctic Circle. Now, if you're ever going to go up there, though, make sure to bring a full-size spare because a compact spare is not going to cut it. Now, come 4th of July, it doesn't get dark at night, so fireworks are out of the question. But you know what? You can spend all day launching cars off the cliff.
That's one less Ford.
Found some great spots to take some pics of my 5th scale Top Flight J3 Cub, and yeah, raced some snowmobiles. Got to take some ATVs out for the first time too. Went ripping up and down some trails with some friends. That was a great time. When you're in Alaska, be sure to keep your eyes on the sky. You never know when you might see something interesting flying overhead. That would be an MC-130 for those wondering. Huge thanks again to the Fallen Outdoors for this awesome backcountry adventure. It was supposed to be a moose hunt, but we didn't actually find any moose. But, you know, hey, we caught a lot of fish, and I found a new favorite backcountry fishing lake. It's called Goober Lake. You can look it up. Next time I go out there, I'll bring cameras and some of my RCs and stuff. I'll make a great video for it. Speaking of lakes, this is Otter Lake on Joint Base Elmendorf Richardson, or JBER for short. It's also a stocked lake and has some pretty darn good fishing there. And it's a good spot for running around your RC stuff, boats, cars. No float planes, though. It's on base. They don't like RC airplanes on base anymore. But where you can go if you want to fly RC airplanes is Hatcher Pass, which is where I did this whole video. And that is an awesome spot. A lot of backcountry trails, a lot of hiking that you can do, some great scenery for getting some pictures of your RCs, and little mountain lakes, good crawling spots, great to crash and roll over and break the lens on your camera. In the winter, the hull gets covered in snow, and you can go skiing, snowboarding, and sledding along with your RCs if you don't mind potentially running them over. Brian really enjoyed it. This is from another one of my hunting trips. Again, didn't get any big game, but hey, got some great pictures, great memories, new friends, and I managed to bag a porcupine. Yeah, you actually can eat those. And last but not least, just before leaving, my old tow vehicle started giving us issues, so we went and bought a new truck. Because you do not want to be driving the Alcan Highway in a vehicle that's in less than perfect operating condition. On the way out, too, we stopped by the Matanuska Brewing Company to pick up a pizza. And yes, I did recycle that pizza box accurately. And don't forget, Minions! And just like that, we're at the end of day one. Actually, so we took a while getting out of the base earlier today. We had some last minute out processing stuff, final out, that kind of thing we had to take care of. A few other little things before we even hit the road, which wasn't until early afternoon. But yeah, as we're cruising down the highway over there, we kind of looked over. We could see what looked like maybe a road going off the side, and something looked kind of interesting. Go check out, and we could see the road on the map, and all this behind me. This is our boondocking spot for the night. And I don't know about you, but those rocks down there and that little stream are just begging to be crawled on. So somebody here has already drug out the slash, and he's running it around here. And you already ran my foot over, didn't you, Brian? Yeah, did you run me over? Yeah, you did. And Nathan here has the SEX10, and so let's go do a little crawling. And there we go. Slash rescued after sitting underwater for a little while. Well, the SCX-10 and just as importantly, the GoPro attached to it were rescued. Unfortunately, the receiver seems to have stopped responding for the moment. I think that's just because it got wet. I've noticed it does this a couple of times. So I may have to do a little more waterproofing on this one in the near future here. But in the meantime, Brian here wants to show us how he gets the Slash up that big hill. Tell me, how do we get up that hill? By starting from the water, and you're gonna go what, full throttle? Full throttle. Okay, go for it. Oh, keep going, almost. Oh. No, and I almost fall down the hill trying to chase it. Go. Uh-oh, is the battery dying? Is that full throttle?
Slash's battery died.
Yep. The Slash's battery died, so I guess it means we're gonna have to carry it up the hill, right? And the SCX-10 wants to dry out, so let's carry him up the hill. All right, well, we're gonna head back to the trailer, call it a day. We got a lot of driving to do tomorrow. We got to get to the Canadian border. So hey, I hope you liked that video. If you did, really appreciate a thumbs up. If you want to see more like this, the subscribe button will help you out there, and the bell icon will let you know when the next one's up and ready to go, which hopefully these videos should be coming pretty quick now. Till next time though, remember, not having fun till you break something or waterlog something in this case.